I know the dark days make it feel like you can't pull through, but being raw can make you feel brand new. Rise up together, let's get real, sister, sister.
Hey, Scotty.
Hello, Sabina.
How are you? Cheers.
Cheers, my friends, and the tumblers.
And the tumblers,
I
aren't
love
they
it.
great?
Yes, I'm drinking my tea.
Yeah. I'm going to let you briefly tell everybody who you are and what you're doing here today.
Well, first of all, I have no idea what I'm doing here today.
Exactly. But you're
I guess
so trusting.
a lot of people weren't available because I'm first. I'm Scott Bullard, I guess, as you said, and musician and entertainment creator, festivals. A lot of people would know me from the rock band After the Lounge or a Taste of Sinatra. I do a Sinatra show too that's in theaters and stuff. Right. And as people like you've been running around telling people of the Great Canadian Caesar Fest, which is also
I have.
a great festival that I created a few years back. And prior to all the craziness in life, 2019 was really good. We had a couple good shows for Great Canadian Caesar Fest and Caesar Cocktail Show. It's not the salad, it's the Caesar Cocktail Show.
Yes, which is amazing. I love them really spicy. So I can't wait to come to one of your shows. So I am going to tell the viewers at home, Scotty and I met because he was actually one of my really authentic men at our live show at R.A.W. And we just had this instant connection and have become such great friends. And I'm so blessed to have you in my life. And I truly mean that.
Yeah,
and,
me too.
Yeah, it feels like we've known each other forever, but it's only been like less than a month, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you performed at one of my girlfriend's events on Boxing Day, which was incredible, and everybody loved you. So I can't wait to see where things go, but I want people to get to know you a little bit better. So I'm going to just start off by asking you, what is authenticity to you?
It's something I think that's lost. I think I always think that because of my roots being a country boy, I think a lot of times people those atmospheres, people for sure you know that people are more open, more real, more like it's so hard to actually pinpoint that, you know. You can just tell somebody that when they're talking to you, for instance, it could be just as easy as talking to someone that what they're saying is genuine. And a lot of times you find that from people that have gone through certain struggles in their lives, right? You know, you talk to someone that's 19 or 20 years old and they've never experienced too much in their life, but at that time they think that they've experienced everything. Right. That's going to come, you know, and then you get to be 40 and then you realize, wow, you're 19, 20 years old and you're out partying in the bars and doing all the things you're doing and living your life thinking this is the way things are going to be, and then you realize it's not. So you can tell, to me, like a lot of times I think that as older people become, a lot of times more people can become jaded, but they also can become more real and more authentic because they realize that the stuff is most of the time it's on their shoulders and stuff like that too. You can see it. You know what I mean? It's hard to pinpoint it because I know a lot of people would say, oh well, that's just that person's just that person's is authentic because of something that has really nothing to do with it. Like it could be something like, I believe them 100%. They don't lie. That makes them authentic. Well, that's not what I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think it's people that, and you can see that in artists. You can see that in movie stars. You can tell that, you know, they and a lot of times they're beaten up for it. Right. When they're actually a real person and they're trying to be a real person, and it's hard to be a real person too. I think for a lot of people because of nowadays with social media and things like that, people can't really say what they really think.
We talked about that,
yeah.
right? We talked about that.
Hope that answered your question, but it's like
that did.
Yeah,
it really did.
I don't think it always has to do around people to do with whether or not they tell the truth or they care about others. You know, and I think it has to do with how that they tackle every day of their life, you know? Like,
And do you feel, sorry to cut you off, do you feel that your authenticity has changed as you have evolved as an artist, as,
yeah.
you know, as you've kind of grown into yourself and become more seasoned in your life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I guess it has. And I kind of know what you're talking about with that, because we talked about social media and in your beliefs and things. And there's so much in the world going on right now it's so hard to be, you know, say something generic even,
right.
publicly. For me, you know what? It's kind of funny because I was thinking about it yesterday. I was actually pulled over by a police officer once.
Right.
It was funny because I just went for a beer meeting with somebody. I had a quick beer and I'm driving along. I'm like, why is this officer's following me really close? So they pull over and I went into like a muffler, man. And the officer came up and said, I just want to let you know that you're a really great driver. And I'm like, and it wasn't.
He pulled you over for that?
Yes.
Okay.
This is funny.
I love it.
And this is in London, probably about 10 years ago. And then the officer said, we have this program going on in London, the city of London, that we are looking for cautious drivers and courteous drivers. I let someone out
You're cautious and
of
courteous.
a driveway. I let them like that, and I waved at them, and the officer saw me wave at them, even.
Wow.
Just by being a nice person, right? And I would hope the same in return. And and then he handed me a free ice cream cone from McDonald's.
Aw.
But I was like, I was more like, what, do I smell like booze? You know, it was
so
like.
Did you become like have you continued to be a really cautious?
I've always done the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I think most people, depending on the time of the day, most people let other people out. I mean, most people would.
Right.
But I thought I was like, wait, is this kind of like a sting operation? Like, are these guys looking for like a reason like to?
So why is that when someone does a kind gesture, we question it?
We do question
right?
it. Yeah,
and
I did.
I feel like we're kind of asked backwards.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was married and I was living with my husband and we had a neighbor move in next door. Now I had a bit of a hidden agenda because they had young kids and I'm like, babysitter, right? But we baked all these cookies, took them over, and I had gift cards because through the magazine, people are always giving me stuff. So I had these 2 gift cards to a restaurant and I dropped it off. And I remember my neighbor Kelly saying, like, I thought you were a bit of a weirdo. Like, why is this woman being so nice?
Yeah.
And we've become great friends, but why is such a kind gesture taken as something's wrong with the person versus like, let's like shift that and try to make that the norm, right? Like, it's so funny. But,
and I couldn't believe that whole, you know, just to say I couldn't believe I was targeted for something like that. I was like, really? What did I do? Like, really? Taillight? Like, it's a new vehicle. But anyway, but yeah, it was like all to do with some sort of operation they had of kindness and curious, you know, whatever, cautious drivers, whatever it was. And, but yeah, most time, like, you can't, you know, you're just kind of doing something that you would. And I think, does that make an authentic person where that person, you know, gave you the thumbs up or waved and thought that was a nice person, I want to do that just to the next person I see, rather than be a jerk where you just, you know, you pull up and you know someone's trying to get out of their driveway or whatever, you just pull up and you're looking straight ahead. You know, I think there's some people that do that in a day and, you know, you're just like sitting there and you're like honking the horn at them. But
okay, I have so many questions for you. I have so many questions for you. The first question, I'm going to just delve right in. I want to know, if you're comfortable answering this, what would you say has been the most raw moment to date in your life that has shaped you and maybe changed your life, or something that you look back at, and whether it's a raw moment or an aha moment? And I already know how you're going to answer that. Like, I can see the twinkle in your eye that you're already like joking about what your raw moment was.
Well, I mean, when you're first born, you're butt naked, right? So, I mean, that's pretty raw. But no, I think, you know, there's probably been quite a few. And over the years, you learn, you kind of, you're like, I don't even know. I wouldn't even know if I could pinpoint individual times. But, I mean, feelings of like, I don't know. You can tell. You can. I don't even know. I mean, I've had moments, I guess, with family where you're like, you know, you were like a little kid and your dad was the tough dad, and then you realize later in life that he's just a big teddy bear, you know, and as he gets older, that you kind of become a parent almost too, to a certain degree, where you're talking to them about things, you know. So that's happened in our life, where we're, you know, supporting our dad right now with stuff, and so you kind of learn that that's a big moment of like, wow, this is an eye opener of real,
right?
yeah, things you don't think are going to happen. And like I said, when you're running, and life's so quick, right?
It really is.
You're 20 years old, and you think, you know, this is the world, and you know, the woman you're dating at that time is gonna be the woman you're gonna be with for the rest of your life, and then you're like 40, and you're like, wait a second here, man. Like they say I'm halfway through my life, right? And then you're like, and that woman clearly was not one of 10 that you thought you'd be with,
One of 10,
right?
eh? Just
Or
one of
something.
10, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, and then like, so it goes so quick that I think there's different moments in there that you get to. You can probably look at back and saying it's almost like different levels of a game, or something, that you get to a level and you're like, realized. I guess a lot of times I could probably just strictly answer that quickly by saying there's many things in life that I've learned that don't matter, that I thought did, and I was told that did.
Right.
I was told a lot of things in life by not going to say anything other teachers, but you know, teachers tell you a lot of things because of their own personal opinions. You know, the government tells you things that you think that you're supposed to do. People tell you things that you think that you're supposed to, and then you realize, you get to be like, whoa, wait a second here. You know, this is not how they told me this, or someone told me this story, and that's not how life is really at. And you realize that, you know, get to a certain point in your life when you realize that you're the one that's making those decisions for your life, not other people, or that those things necessarily would not happen to you that they said would.
Exactly.
Because that was their experience. And it could be anything. It could be like, you know, how old are you when you bought your first house? You know, and somebody be like, whoa, you know, you won't be able to get a house until you're 25. You know, well, I wasn't 25. Right. And or just things like that. I mean, about where you're going to be at stages of your life, and things. And then, yeah. And even internally in my family too, like I don't talk publicly a lot about my personal like my family stuff and my parents and things like that too much, but.
Are you comfortable talking about
I'm fine with that.
what's going on right now with your mom? Because I feel it will not only help you maybe share your story, but maybe some of our viewers at home that may be going through the same thing. I would love to hear you kind of share that and tell us what's happening.
Well, I guess technically 10 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and it's tough, it really is. Seeing how it unravels, and my parents were in their 30s when they had me, so you know, a lot of people that are my age, sometimes their parents are, you know, in their 60s and stuff like that. My parents are in their 70s. My mom's gonna be 78, and just to see how that unravels through the years, and stuff that I've never talked about. Like I go see my mom, try to go once a week. I go more in the summer. And then my dad's completely opposite. He's going to be 79, chipper, let's go. Right. You know, jumps in his car and goes somewhere, you know, for the day or something, right? But sees my mom every day, you know. And she doesn't know who I am. She hasn't known who I am in probably 3 or 4 years.
So what is that like for you?
Yeah.
As like, this is your mom, and it sounds like you had a great relationship, and you show up, and you know, you might sing for her, and like, does she actually recognize your voice? Like, I want to know how it feels for you, because everyone ends up talking about the patient, but often we don't talk about the effects on the caregiver and what that feels like.
It's a terrible disease, and that's one thing this year is I really want to turn around, and I want to talk more about it. Not so much my own experience, but I want to see, you know, where other people are at, and since I've had personal conversations with people that I've met in the last couple of years, privately, there's a lot of people that are in the same boat, and I want to talk more about it. And I want to talk about you know, where we're going as a humans, and where things are going to be. Like there's many diseases that are coming out that we need to talk about. And you know, I try not to get too publicly about it because I don't want my biggest thing is I had to talk with my dad, and I had to say, Dad, I'm going to start talking publicly about it. And he was fine. But to sit with my mom and she, you know, to answer your question directly, it basically, she, you know, she doesn't know who I am. She knows I'm a person. Different stages for different people. Like she's at a stage where she sits there, she's in a wheelchair now because she can't walk. She looks at me and has no clue who I am. I've showed her photos of my brother and I when we're little. She has no clue who we are. But she will randomly say our names, and she says my sister's name. And when I'm pushing her in the hallway to go to their sunroom and area and stuff like that, she will say Bob. She'll say, oh, Bob or something, my dad's name, right? So, and the thing about it is, which I'm not going to talk about till the end of this, she doesn't know my dad, which is
She does?
pretty tear-jerking to, yeah. So, and whenever he goes in, but you know, you see where those moments went, and I'm hoping I'm taking your question with what you wanted, but to see that my mom, during COVID especially, that's one thing about all this COVID thing, we lost a lot of time with people, and because we couldn't see, you know, my parents are an hour away, and they were, you know, people were in lockdown and they would not, you know, let you do anything, right? At that point there, and especially with older people, they just, oh no, we're not allowed to have anybody over. Oh, can I come to your window and wave inside it, you know? During that time, my mom got worse, right? So, you know, and I don't even really remember the point where I know that she didn't know who I was. And I used to talk to her every day on the phone. And then you're like, where did it go to that? Where was that moment where it was like, hi, Mom? And I remember her being, oh, hi, you know? And her fridge was all stuff that I would bring home. So all the articles. My mom had all my awards and stuff too. Like, so she, at the end, when she started to really get bad where she was losing sight of some certain things, she'd bring one of my awards over and hand it to me. Right? And so it was pretty neat. But the whole thing on the fridge, though, it was pretty neat to see like that point there where that was starting to happen. And I'm saying neat by it's like, where is that? Like, where in the mind is that going? Because you look back at it now and go, wow, like what's going on in her mind? Mm-hmm. Because she was going through that too. But the number one thing about this whole thing is they're fine. Like people with Alzheimer's and dementia, for the most part, they're fine. My mom's mild, smiles, laughs, has no idea what's going on.
She has no clue.
Right? She babbles about different things.
Better off than us, I mean, right? So are you angry or are you saddened by all that? Like what emotion are you feeling as you're going through and watching your mom?
This is your show. It's real. Yeah. This is really what's happening, you know? And people I do talk to say, you know what, you know, your mom doesn't know who you are, but you know that you've been there. Mm-hmm. It's real. It's made me feel good about myself. Is like, you know, I wouldn't let her sit there by herself. She wouldn't let me sit there by herself. So myself. So why would I do that to her, right? And my brother said that same thing, you know, because you're with them, and then you take them in a wheelchair and you just set them by the window or in their room, and then you give them a kiss and you say goodbye, and they don't even know you're gone. Right. But my mom would never have done that to me. Exactly. My mom wouldn't put me in a room. Right. Right.
So it's that full circle moment, right? Where now you're the parent and they're the child. Yeah. And
I'm reading children's books to her, you know what I mean? And she just loves it. And she could still read and stuff, which the disease is, what's going on with everything, man, is like, just blows you away. Right. Like, it's crazy. Like, hey, she can do certain, well,
I really, hope that we can bring some awareness to this, and I really hope that you find peace in being there every day, because I think that sometimes we can't explain it, right? We try to make sense as humans as to what the heck is going on, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. And I believe you just need to do what feels really good for you right now and your family, and be there and spend all that time as much as possible. So thank you for sharing that with us.
And it's not even so much bringing awareness. I guess everybody that's having those issues with their family and different things, or they see that that's coming, to have conversations just about it. You know, like my thing is, I always put, I get to see my mom and dad today. That's my social media post. But now it's like, especially with this stuff coming out now, I'm going to start saying, hearts out to everybody that's going through something like this.
Because we're all going through something.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why we just need to be a little kinder to one another. And okay, this leads me to my next question.
Okay.
So if you could put everyone you have ever met in one room, you can only look for one person, who would you look for?
If I could put, I don't understand that question.
Okay, so if you could put every single person throughout your whole life journey to this point in your life in one room, dead or alive, who would you go to? If you're only allowed to go speak to one person, who would you look for?
My grandmother, Coral. My mom's mom.
Why?
She's my guardian angel.
Is she?
Oh, yeah.
And she's no longer.
Yeah, long gone.
Yeah.
I was like 2 when she died. But I still recall her like big time.
From 2 years old.
A girlfriend of mine told me that there was a lady standing over me at one time, and I don't know. Like, I'm like, maybe she was really high. I don't know. But she said she woke up and said she saw a woman. And when I showed her the photo, she said it was her. Yeah, girl.
Did you feel with you all the time, or?
And this person did not know. This girl that did not know
what was happening.
I never had said that. Right. And there's only one or two people I've ever had that conversation with, that my grandma Coral was.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, for her to say that. Yeah. But I would for sure. She was 2. I was 2, and she died of cancer, and preventable too back then. Certain things, because people didn't know, and people didn't get looked at the way they do now, where we have this great technology and all that stuff. So, but yeah, that would be one. Yeah. That's hard to say though, because that was my go-to.
There's so many, right?
It was my grandparents,
Right.
My dad's dad.
But you can only pick one. End of question. Can't answer it any longer. The other question I have for you: if you were able to give one person advice on being more authentic, can you pick one thing that you would tell someone?
I would probably say, don't be afraid of being who you are when it comes to stuff. And I mean, I know that personally, being kids, and that's being picked on when you're younger, right? Because you're not. I was not like other kids. And that was one thing is actually, if anybody ever turned to me now and said, "Oh, you're so much different than when you were a kid," I'm like, "No, I'm the same freaking person, man."
You just didn't see it.
It just wasn't acceptable to be like, "Hey, man, you have a great day. I hope all's well with you," and say hi to your parents. Like if you were in high school and you said, "Say hi to your parents," people would be like, "What the hell are you talking about? I'm gonna say hi to my parents. Are you weirdo?"
Right.
Loser. But I'm like, no, I know your parents are at my house on the weekend, or my parents know them, and say hi to them. That's what I would be like.
Right.
But it's not acceptable, right?
That whole thing we were talking about earlier, like it's just, it's not the norm, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't fit in the box that society has put you in, something's wrong with you. So,
and that's where, especially with kids and stuff, I don't know how things work nowadays, but I mean, you could never be your real person that you kind of were, right? I mean, I was an entertainer. I was in a small town where, if you were too entertaining, you weren't like everybody else, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of musicians. There wasn't a whole lot of people. When I tried to do, drama classes and different things like that, some of the people that I was close to had comments to say about that or something, right? And it was like, really? Anyway,
that's great advice.
You look at it nowadays, be who you are, and yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if it comes to, sexuality or whatever, like that, whoever you want to be, just be that person because, and you'll find your own, you'll find your own people to be close to that matter.
Exactly.
And the other people don't matter if people have their own opinions about stuff, right? Because
So stick with our tagline, be real.
yeah,
Be authentic.
yeah, it is. And I mean, that's just be yourself, and if you want to go and help the elderly, or you want to go and do a food drive, or you want to wake up every day and just wish everybody a happy day, be that person. People,
Feed your soul.
Yeah.
Feed your own soul first is what I've learned. And
Mm-hmm.
it took me to get to this place in my life to finally go, I'm going to do things that actually make me happy.
Yeah.
So I was talking to a friend yesterday and he said to me, he goes, why are you doing this whole raw thing? Like you've been successful with the magazine. Like, why are you doing this? Like, what is it for? Why don't you just stop? Like, it's enough. And I'm like, because I want to. Like, it makes me feel good.
yeah,
And I want to prove
yeah.
to myself that there's so many people that end up dying with their dreams inside of them, right? Because they're afraid or whatever it is that holds them back. But I know we have to wrap things up, but I want to ask two things of you. One, can we hear your beautiful voice? Are you willing to sing a little bit?
Okay, that was one question. What's the other question?
Well, the next one's going to come after that. You're going to have to close your eyes, and I'm going to have to do something with that. But
what do you want to hear?
a request?
I don't know.
Well, you know what I would pick, but I'm not going to make you sing that. So you pick.
Okay, how about Sinatra?
Okay.
Something everybody knows. Do you have to pay like royalties for stuff on here? So because I'll go to the ones that's really hard to get. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know. Do we? Just do
I'm just kidding.
Like
I'm just
maybe
kidding.
Fly Me to the Moon? Or?
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song. Let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true, right?
Yes.
In other words, I love you.
Aww,
Yeah.
love it.
Thanks for having me, though.
Thank you. Okay, next one. You have to actually close your eyes.
Oh, God, here we go.
I know. You have to close your eyes. And, okay, close them.
Last time this happened, I ended up in the back of a cop car.
Now close them.
I'm just kidding.
Close your
Okay,
eyes.
do I have my, I better
You
just
take a sip of your
my
drink.
tea?
Yeah, you're not having tea. We all know that.
Okay.
Now, you have to say the very first thing that comes to mind
Okay.
the minute I show you this, okay? So don't open yet. I gotta make sure this is the
Is this show PG?
no,
I don't swear, so.
okay, open. The first
Oh,
word.
my God. That's me. Holy. Why? You're showing me myself in the mirror right now. And, yeah. Proud.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no. Good.
Together.